I've never highlighted the differences in ability between male and female officers, as I don't believe the current state of policing should be reduced to a battle of the sexes. I firmly believe that women are just as capable of inflaming every situation, making up the law and oppressing members of the public as their male counterparts. However, when the police allow officers to undertake roles they're not suited to, it places the public at risk of harm and is something we should all take notice of. In this instance, I'm referring to Police Officer B, the title given to her by investigating officers at West Mercia Police who refused to name her. The incident occurred on 2nd of October 2021. At the time, Aaron Humphreys was wanted by West Mercia Police for criminal damage to his ex-partner's residence. Being without a home at the time, he took to sleeping in his car where he kept all of his belongings with him, one of which was an imitation firearm. Being a man of extremely limited means in the brains department, he thought it would be a good idea to sleep in his car with it on his lap. A member of the public phoned it in and the firearm squad was promptly dispatched, one of which was Miss Officer B. She was handed a bulletproof shield and a carbine automatic rifle and told to aim it at whatever she intended to shoot. Meanwhile, the three men in the squad would do the dangerous stuff, such as disarming him, although there was in fact nothing to disarm. Aaron awoke to the sounds of four armed officers surrounding his vehicle, and he actually had the nerve to be surprised. But genuine surprise was certainly coming his way because Officer B was having problems with her kit. Meanwhile, Aaron did as he was told and stepped carefully, ever so carefully, from his vehicle. Flanked both left and right by two officers, one pointing a carbine, the other pointing a taser. At this moment, the officer in charge comes scuttling forward, shouting instructions at 200 decibels. While all this is happening, Officer B is moving forward. She too has her gun pointed at Aaron Humphreys, but she's having trouble holding up the shield in her left hand while trying to apply the safety catch on her gun with the other hand. This causes her to momentarily drop the shield, which in turn causes her to pull the trigger on her gun, firing off a single shot. The bullet passes across the street and hits Aaron Humphreys directly in the upper leg, missing his kneecap by a fraction of an inch and passing through the other side. He immediately collapses, falling to the ground, bleeding profusely. In excruciating pain, he struggles to breathe and begins to drift in and out of consciousness. Sorry, said Officer B, admitting fault. Later on, she told investigators, "My hand slipped. The shield was too heavy." Aaron was taken to hospital and operated on, being forewarned by the doctor that the wound was so severe the leg may have to be amputated. Luckily it was saved in surgery and he was taken onto the ward to recover, where a police officer kept him under arrest for criminal damage. Meanwhile, back at the station, word gets out that Officer B couldn't hold her shield up because it was too heavy for her. West Mercia Police instantly rolled out the emergency back covering response team. Unfortunately, accidentally discharging a weapon in a residential street and almost killing someone was too much even for them to brush under the carpet, so they had to defer the job to a misconduct panel. They used much bigger brooms and had much larger carpets, but thankfully they got it all dusted away. Officer B was held not to be at fault. It was the shield's fault for being too big and heavy. The misconduct panel concluded that the officer's conduct had not breached the standards of professional behaviour. As a result, Deputy Chief Constable Julian Moss went baying to the media in a jubilant mood, describing it as no case to answer. But there is a case to answer, Julian. That case being why this woman, who was too weak and pathetic to hold up her shield and was clearly not properly trained, was somehow given a deadly firearm and the authority to go pointing it at people in a public street. a woman who ultimately cost West Mercia Police £373,000 in damages, the equivalent of 10 police officers being employed for a whole year. Interestingly, not a single news outlet covered this story other than the local paper Worcester News. Compare and contrast this with the shooting of gang member, drill rapper, firearms enthusiast and all-round criminal scumbag Chris Kaba. In September 2022, he walked into the Oval Space nightclub in Tower Hamlets, East London, with a loaded gun, 3 other gang members, and then shot one of his rivals in both legs. Several days later, he was besieged by armed police while driving his vehicle in a public street. Kaba then decided to use his car as a battering ram and smash his way out the cordon.
Doors! Oh, police! Show me your hands! Show me your hands!
Unfortunately for him, a police officer trained to kill did just that.
Just fire! Where from? On the front!
In most other police shootings that occur in this country, that would have been the end of it. But with no evidence whatsoever, that officer was immediately accused of going out with the intent to kill Kaba because he was black. To appease all the digital lynch mobs that sprung up on the internet, the Metropolitan Police then teamed up with the CPS and charged the firearms officer with murder. Yes, this is how the Metropolitan Police looks after its own, by throwing them to the internet wolves the moment they come baying for blood. Martin Blake, the firearms officer, was named, put on trial and sacrificed to the gods of community cohesion. Thankfully, he was found not guilty, but stupidly, he has returned to duty. And that is where our sympathies should end for an officer like Martin Blake. If you really are that dumb to continue to serve with an organisation that would burn you at the stake the first moment somebody shouts "witch," then you deserve everything you get. Even Metropolitan Police Commissioner Sir Mark Rowley seems to agree by saying this about the not guilty verdict. No police officer is above the law, but we've been clear the system holding police to account is broken. Broken in Rowley's mind means the system didn't go the way he wanted it to go. These two stories say more about the police's obsession with identity politics than they do about their misuse of firearms, and how senior officers will allow it to affect their decision making even when it has potentially deadly or perverse outcomes. They will quite happily put the public at risk of serious harm by placing unsuitable individuals in the position of firearms officer just to fulfil a gender-based quotient. Meanwhile, they're just as willing to ruin the lives of their own officers as a means to appease their insatiable militant obsession with race. Are the police in this country a law enforcement organisation serving the interests of the many, or are they a political paramilitary organisation serving the interests of the few? Copper Stopper is out now in paperback. It's packed with essential guidance on hundreds of law enforcement scenarios, traffic stops, home visits, street encounters, interviews, arrests, allegations, and covering victims of crime. It's your ultimate defence to protecting you from them. Follow the links in the description to purchase a copy today.